While football is one of the most popular sports in the high school, the Rye cross-country team often gets overlooked. They have a great team this year, and they're progressing as the season goes on. I covered their past two meets, away at Edgemont and home against Ardsley. Here's the inside story.
The Garnet's cross-country team is off to a strong start as they competed in a series of dual meets these past 2 weeks. The first was at Edgemont High School against Pelham and Edgemont on the week of September 18th. The girls won the meet by a considerable margin, with top senior runners Tara Doyle and Annie O'Callahan leading the way. Rye did a superb job packing their runners towards the front, taking 5 of the top 6 places. The Doyle-O'Callahan duo pushed the race from start to finish and finished second and third. Seniors Caroline Twyman, Norma Jean Lippman, and Christy Jameson followed close behind with a 4-5-6 finish, respectively. Last week at home against Ardsley, Rye continued to back Coach Craig Sandhouse's claim that the girls should be the top team in the league this season. Sweeping all competition, Doyle and O'Callahan put out 1-2 finishes as expected, and Lippman and Twyman drafted behind them. Jameson finished as the 5th girl to cap off the win. With a record of 2-0, a league win and potential postseason section wins are on the horizon. While the girls are seemingly unstoppable with an undefeated record so far this season, the boys are also off to a positive start with a record of 1-1. At Edgemont, Rye easily triumphed over Pelham, but lost to Edgemont. Senior team captain and frontrunner Andrew Daplett led the team with a 3rd place finish after losing his hold on Edgemont's Zach Bornstein and Ben Steinberg in the last half mile. Sophomore Jeff Bounton and seniors Stefan Trinikins and Marty Highland rounded out the scorers. Rye scored a total of 34 points, finishing just 13 points behind Edgemont. All things considered, the boys ran particularly well against a top league team at an early point in the season. The boys immediately bounced back last week at home as they defeated Ardsley by a single point. Coach Craig Sandhouse had the boys work particularly hard this meet, attacking the top 5 runners more towards the front. Daplett began the race behind 2 Ardsley front runners. As Ardsley moved up, Daplett was eventually forced to take the lead and ended up winning the race. Robinson followed with a 3rd place finish, Bounton in 5th, and Highland biting at his heels. Junior Jack Simonson stepped up to take the 5th varsity spot in this meet, due to the absence of Stefan Trinikins. Senior Andrew Daplett commented on the race.
Basically, our strategy was to try to bring some of the guys, like our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th guys up to the front and try to drag them along with the rest of the team and hopefully try to beat as many Ardsley guys as possible in the process.
Freshman Max Robinson talked about the team's strategy going into the race.
Well, we were planning on packing together and working our way up to win the race. We were going to try to stick together, but it didn't really work out. Hopefully we're going to practice it, and it will work better some other race. Try to get our back runners moving up to the front.
How did your team do today overall?
We did really well. We won by 1 point. We were a little concerned, but we pulled it out in the end.
This win served as a positive boost for the boys' squad as they enter the JFK Invitational, their first of the Saturday meets.
Man, you made me look bad in that shot.
Well, I'm sorry. You're only asked to be in half the interviews and half the footage.
Well, you know, it's one of the advantages of making a story and actually being in a story. On to volleyball. Despite getting off to a rough start early in the season, the volleyball team played at home on the 28th versus Woodlands. Let's see if they're able to capture their first victory of the season. Against Woodlands on September 28th, the varsity volleyball team needed their seniors to rise to the occasion and lead the team to their first win. Seniors Lindy Smalt and Haley Tobin did just that, showing poise and winning 3 straight sets for the victory. With a very young team this year, the Garnets are showing a lot of potential with young players such as Molly Smalt and Alexis Erelch. We will surely watch out for them as the season progresses. They compete today against Pelham and on Friday the 6th versus Eastchester. Volleyball is the only fall indoor sport with the exception of girls swimming. On the 27th, the girls swimming team competed at home at the Durland Scout Center. The team is merged with some Rybrook swimmers, and senior captain Julia Telfer led this very young team to a commanding victory over New Rochelle. Here's the inside story.
Girls varsity swimming team is coming off an impressive 7-2 season. This year's young team's only senior is Julia Telfer, but they have gotten off to a great start. Led by head coach Shannon Bolger, they tied Pearl River, and they are 2-0-1 after victories at the Relay Carnival at White Plains and at home at the Durland Scout Center against New Rochelle. Look out for sectional swimmers Amanda Owens, Julia Telfer, Ariel Pariser, Liz Polias, and Katie Hughes as the season progresses.
On to field hockey. This edition we gave you an in-depth look on Coach Kevin Kelly and his feelings on field hockey. With a lot of graduating seniors this year, he had a lot to say. Here's his profile.
Coming to the season this year, after your heartbreaking loss last year, was it a little different than past years? Were your players more or less motivated by the defeat last year?
Well, I think the first thing we had to do was get over the defeat of last year, which was, as you said, was real heartbreaking to lose in the last second of play. We did it at the state championship, too, the year before we lost in the last second of play, so we're kind of used to that at this point. However, it was a real big motivating factor. We were determined to do better if we could, but we keep focusing basically on the section. What we're most interested in doing is getting into the finals, but it's certainly in the back of the kids' minds, particularly the players from last year. And I think that's probably what motivated us to beat Putnam Valley last Saturday in a 1-0 game. Clearly the seniors wanted to prove something, and I think they did.
How would you characterize your team this year? Do you think they're in the rebuilding process?
Well, the newspapers don't let me use the word rebuilding anymore because every time I seem to say it, we end up winning the section and going on to play in regional play. But we do have a lot of new kids on the team. We graduated 10 players, 8 of them starters. So to an extent, it is rebuilding, but because the program is so strong and have such good younger coaches underneath us, basically we just open up slots and put people into them. So much for rebuilding. It's just kind of reloading.
During the summer and off-season, do you coach other field hockey teams or do you take time off for the tough season?
I never really take time off from it. I'm always thinking about it. I spend a lot of time, talking to coaches, setting up various tours and various scrimmages for us to play. Luckily, I do have some downtime to finish building my house, number one. But at the same time, hockey's always kind of in the back of my mind. We ran some clinics. Hopefully next year maybe we'll take the kids to Europe again and play. But I try to get a little distance, but not that much.
How would you compare the success you have this season with the success of the past?
Well, interestingly enough, even though we have a lot of new kids, we're exactly where we were last year. We're 5-0 in the league. We've only lost one game, and that was to Greenwich Academy, a very, very strong team. We're scoring goals, so we're looking forward to, kind of follow in the footsteps of the teams before us. Rise program's always been strong, and we hope it's going to continue that way.
Now, what is your favorite part about coaching? What do you love best?
Basically, I just like working with the players. It's a lot of fun to be out there. They're always ready to work for me. I love being able to help kids get into college. I really enjoy going to college games and watching former Rye players, on the field and working. So basically, it's all aspects from the game to the practices to what goes beyond that. And we had some pretty good dinners over the past, too.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Not a problem.